Hey, Keith B here, and I'm back in the lab with another short guide. Today I want to talk about starting out your offense in Tekken, and specifically in Tekken 8. I think everyone has the idea that if you do a move that is advantageous on block, then you can do stuff afterwards. Like, I can counter hit you, right? And then if it hits, right, I'm like plus 17. So I think we all know this. I think the way the heat system is designed, like, new players have little issue figuring out that part of things. Do heat engager. If it hits, you're plus 1,000,000. If you have plus on block move, do plus on block move. And on block or hit, you can just keep going, right? That's basic Tekken 8. Now, you have a long move list. You've got launchers, but you've got other moves that, like, aren't launchers, right? And don't do anything really on counter hit. So what do you do with all these other moves? How do you use them? How do you see, like, these players who are in, like, blue ranks or Emperor or Tekken God, and they're doing all these different moves, and they're getting pressure off of them? I would consider a good chunk of your character's move list to be offensive starters. And this is a term that I kind of created. I don't know what other players call them. This is just what I call them. I'm sure there's other names for this idea, but any move that is either plus, like jab is plus, right? Sidestep 4 from June is plus. But also moves that are minus 6 here on up 4-3. I like to start my offense with up 4-3 because it's a low crush counter hit launcher. I swear I can do that combo. Like, I can do the combo. Alright, so it's a low crushing counter hit launcher, so that's a lot to like there. But on block at -6, I can keep attacking if I want. I might not keep attacking, but I can if I want, and I'll explain how in a second. Other moves that would fit into this category would be stuff that transitions you into full crouch. You don't necessarily have to stop swinging if you go into full crouch. You could do something evasive that counter hits. You know, I have this option here from June that does 1,000,000,000 damage if I do the whole combo. So it might be to my advantage to go into full crouch, and even at -4 keep swinging, or do something else. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about offensive starters. I want to create a situation where I can read what you might do and try to counter it with an option, an offensive or defensive option on my part, depending on how plus or minus we might be. So, for example, I think it's a lot easier to talk in specifics than in generalities. Down forward 1 is a move that most characters in the game have or have an equivalent of. It's slightly minus on block. It's usually pretty plus on hit. June's is +8. So on hit, I can go up here and hit you with this, and I can be like, cool, let me counter hit you. I would counter hit with this, right? Or I would counter hit with this. Or I could say, hey, let me do a low. And then my low is plus, so we can keep things going. Plus on hit lows also fit in this category of offensive starters. Even a minus on hit low or a 0 low, I can keep doing stuff, right? It's Tekken. One of the most common ways to keep doing stuff is to sidestep. You'd be surprised how good the sidestep is in Tekken 8. At -6, you pretty much have to jab check. You have to jab check someone at -6 if you don't want them to step, or do a homing move, like a fast homing move. So -6 here, I like to do this, sidestep, and swing for the moon with a whiff punish. I get this a lot online. I mean, I'm not some Tekken pro player here. I'm not Arslan Ash, but I get this, then the sidestep, confirm whiff, and get the punish a whole bunch when I play this game. So -6 is a situation I can intentionally create and then take advantage of. I also, as June, I have parry, I have can, I have punch Sabaki. I have a billion ways with this character to attack people for trying to swing into me with June. Your character probably doesn't have as many defensive options as June, but you might have a punch parry. You probably have a hop kick, right? And you always have Sidestep. Now, if you're a Jack player, this is not the best strategy, because Jack isn't very good at offensive Sidestep. But generally, offensive Sidestep's pretty strong in Tekken 8, because Sidestep was buffed. So characters, even like Kazuya, he can take Sidestep in this game fairly safely compared to like Tekken 7, for example. So I like to create -6 and play Sidestep. And I don't just immediately say, okay, I'm gonna do down forward 1, you blocked it, I'm gonna go for a big slow low. That's not how I want to do this. I usually will do down forward 1 until someone blocks it, and then see what they do. I might even finish my down forward 1 string, because I have extensions. And if I notice, hey, they're not swinging after my down forward 1, then I can intentionally play for the block down forward 1, and then start hitting them with lows, right? And that is just a way to add like a quick read into, I'm doing a poke, I'm paying attention because I'm doing this move with the intention to pay attention to what they do afterwards. And that's kind of the key. All of your offensive starters that you kind of flag in your move list, you're going to be paying attention to what they do after this. I don't pay attention to what they do after every single move. I do. I'm not good enough to do that. I'm not going to just like do a, what's a weird move? I'm not going to do like stand 3 and pay attention to how they respond to stand 3. Because stand 3 is -13. So if they don't punish me, I'm happy. And I'm going to move on to the next thing. But when I'm doing a down forward 1, I want to know what they do afterwards so that I can create the situation again and exploit what their tendencies are. Some other like non-standard kind of things. I talked about up forward 3. We can go to -6. And like if I'm playing at -3, I want to create a -3 situation and do things at -3. See what you do in this situation. We could call this down forward 1 meta. We've created what's short for a meta game around this situation, right? I'm creating the situation so that I can see how you respond to it and respond accordingly. I could create -6 meta with up forward 3 or an up forward 3 meta. I tend to do a lot of up forward 3 with June. It's like one of my favorite buttons because I like counter hit launches, right? I like getting safe counter hit launches. I'm a very greedy player, but I also don't like taking risk. So up forward 3, one of my favorite buttons. Another thing we could do is we could create full crouch. Do moves that transition into full crouch, and even on block, we could play some sort of attack there. We could, you know, maybe they like to stick out lows a lot. Maybe I'm just gonna hop kick here. Maybe they dick jab too much. Maybe they like to sidestep, so I have to do something that catches their step. It depends on the player, and the more you know of your character, the more that you can pay attention to what they do after your offensive starters and figure out how you want to respond to those. Most moves that transition into stances, like back to 1 from June, back to 1 forward, even on block, I'm 0, right? So you could jab me. You could jab me, but I have a power crush. So now a lot of stances in Tekken 8 create what I would call like power crush meta, where I can play this little mini game of am I going to power crush or not? Because if I don't power crush, I could do a high crush low. And it's just kind of this little weird pseudo mix-up. But you'd be surprised how effective this can be if you don't use like stance into defensive option a lot. Especially since like this particular power crush does 48 damage. So you can get quite a bit of damage off of this type of thing. Jin has a similar thing with his forward 4 into his Zen stance, with his Zen 2 being a power crush heat engager. I think probably everyone's been hit by that since you started playing Tekken 8, and if you haven't, lucky you. I wish I had never been hit by that. Strings in general can create metas as well. There's a meta of, am I going to finish this string or not? If I finish the string, I can hit you, right? And maybe I can go for a mix-up. Or I could not finish the string. I could sidestep or just do the thing and do a low. character like Brian is really good at that particular type of offense. The am I going to finish a string or not thing. You can do the same thing with back 2-1. Since back 2-1 is mid-high, back 2, back 2, back 2. You finally swing, back 2-1. Made even stronger by the fact that June has back 2-2 in Tekken 8, which is mid-mid and safe on block, which is very rare for a 2-hit mid-string to be safe. So very nice thing there. And you can get creative with this. You don't have to just do the 3 or 4 moves that are like -4 and less on your character. An example of some creativity is I like to create this situation, this 4-4-2 into 3-2, and it's -9, but there's just enough pushback here. There's just enough pushback where I parry a lot, and I guess if you run into me online, you can feel free to throw me here because I like to fish for this parry. And it works really a lot. Like, good players end up getting parried here a lot. So that's just like a little thing that I found that I like to do, and it's a -9 meta situation. And if people start doing things that would punish the parry option, I can backdash because there's space here. I could chase them if they try to just move away from me. I've created a mind game off of a -9 move, so that's good for me. If I can be -9 and make my opponent feel like I'm still on the offense, that's pretty good. What I want you to do, you have homework today. I'm giving you homework. I want you to explore your character's move list and try to find an offensive starter that maybe you hadn't considered before. You probably realize you do a lot of this stuff all the time. Maybe you like using stances. Maybe you're a down forward 1 spammer. Maybe you just like playing jab meta. If you watch any of my guides on how to get out of like low ranks, I tell people to play a lot of jab because new players are bad at dealing with jab, right? Maybe you're just a low guy. You like to go low a lot. Well, maybe you got a move that puts you in crouch and it's like minus. And you're like, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be in full crouch. But from full crouch, you can sidestep. From full crouch, you have while standing 4, which is an 11 frame mid. How many options does that beat of your opponents? Lab it. Find out. Because if they jab, are you putting them in full crouch too? Does your full crouch move make them duck? Because then the options are different. Right here, I'm forcing a +7, but Kazuya has to duck. On block, he doesn't duck, which means if he jabs on block, I will high crush him with my down forward 2. Little things like that are things that you can find by exploring your character's move list. And we all have our pet moves, right? I love my up forward 3 on June, but I should be doing a lot more down 2, honestly. I should be doing more down 2 because down 2 gives me that full crouch situation and is a very oppressive move because on counter hit, I can get a combo, right? Well, I'm supposed to get a combo. I'm just bad. There we go. I get a combo. So explore your character's move list. Try to find an offensive starter that maybe you didn't consider, or a mind game that you don't commonly play. The other side of this is you can learn your opponent's sort of offensive starters and play their mind games against them, especially if you have a character with good defensive options like parries or power crushes or really good hop kick or something. You can then turn the tables and play actively on defense. And I think in Tekken 8, that's a very important thing to do. I think this is a game where the designers of this game intended us to be very active on both offense and defense. I think standing here and blocking is a recipe for someone being like +15 in your face and just mixing you up and you die. And you've probably experienced that if you've been playing Tekken 8. So I think understanding offense, how to compose your character's offense, and then translating that to learning your opponent's offense is going to help on both sides of both you being able to rush them down and then also being able to deal with the rush down from the opponent. Hopefully this video helped. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time.